All right, hi everybody. So today we are starting a new module, which is Module 5, and we're going to be learning about fractions. And so today our objective is we will be able to partition, that means to break up, a whole into equal parts. Okay, a whole into equal parts by identifying and counting the unit fractions. Oh my goodness, so many words here that might not look familiar to you. Partition, that means to break up. So if I had a piece of paper and had to break it up into equal parts, that is partitioning. I'm breaking it up. A whole, this piece of paper, this is a whole piece of paper, okay? Equal parts, that means that each of these parts needs to be equal. Okay, so we don't have one that looks like this. That's not equal parts, right? That's smaller than this part. And a unit fraction. A unit fraction, so let's go with 1/2. Everybody's seen this type of fraction, right? 1/2. Well, this bottom number is the number of equal parts. Okay, this is the number of equal parts. So let's do a drawing here. The number of equal parts. So these two pieces are equal, right? That the whole has been cut into. So I cut this piece of paper into 2 equal parts. That is that bottom number. The top number is the number of shaded parts. So if I was to shade half of this piece of paper with a green crayon, that 1 is what that represents, the shaded parts. Okay, we're going to talk more about unit fractions as we go on in the lessons, but I just kind of wanted to review these vocabulary words that you're going to hear. Partitioning, equal parts, whole, unit fraction. Okay, so you're going to hear me use those vocabulary words a lot. So let's look at these beakers. We have 3 beakers here. And a beaker is considered full when the liquid reaches the fill line near the top. So the fill line right here, do you guys see this little line right here? That's the fill line. That means that that's when we fill it up, that's where it's full, okay? We're gonna estimate. Estimate means that it doesn't need to be perfect. So when we partition, when we break these up, they do not have to be perfect. We're just estimating. Estimate the amount of water in the beaker by shading the drawing as indicated. The first one is done for you. So let's look at this first one. Their unit fraction is 1/2. Okay, so they have half, and half is also means 2 parts, right? 2 equal parts. So here's the part 1 and here's part 2. How many parts? So that's how many parts they have. And they shaded how many? They shaded 1 part of that. So that's the shaded part, and that is how many total parts we have. 1/2. Okay, so now let's go to the next one. Now we have the unit fraction 1/5. Okay, 1/5. So this is a trick to help us figure out how many lines, because that's what you have to do first, is you have to draw lines to partition this fraction, this whole up, okay? So we're doing 1/5. If I'm doing fifths, fifths also means what number? It also means 5, right? So everybody do this with me, okay? You're going to put 5 fingers up in the air. You're going to take one of your fingers down. How many fingers do you have up? 4, right? So when I partition, when I break up this whole into fifths, I'm only going to draw 4 lines. That is my trick for you. And again, we're estimating. So it doesn't have to be perfect. I'm going to draw 4 lines. And I'm going to see, that looks pretty equal, right? Each one of these parts looks pretty equal. Let's just count to make sure that my trick worked. So I have 1 part, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I have 5 equal parts. All right, so that step is done. The next step I need to do is I need to shade in one of those parts. That's my unit fraction here, 1/5. So I am going to shade 1/5. There we go. All right, let's do the next one. Now we have 1/6. Okay, I need to partition this whole beaker into 6 parts, right? 6 means 6. So 6 equal parts. I'm going to put 6 fingers up in the air. Do that with me. I'm going to put one of my fingers down. How many lines am I going to do? 5 lines. And it's an estimate, so the parts don't have to be perfect, but I'm going to try my best to make them as equal as possible. 2, 3, 4, and 5. I'm a little off there, but that's okay. Okay, so I'm just going to make sure I have 6 parts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I did it correctly. All right. How many parts am I going to shade? What do you guys think? How many parts? Only 1, right? Right here it tells us we're only shading 1/6. So only 1 part is going to be shaded. If it said 2/6, and then we would shade 2 parts. But today we're just working on unit fractions that start with 1. Okay, let's go to the next slide. All right, now we are using like these long strips of paper, and they're pretending that these are candy bars. Danielle cut her candy bar into equal pieces as shown in the rectangles below. So each of these strips of paper are considered candy bars. In the blank below, name the fraction of candy bar represented by the shaded part. So we're doing something very similar that we did last time, but now we are going to be writing the unit fraction down, okay? That's what we're doing. Okay, so let's look at this first one. The first thing I want to think is, how many parts are shaded? How many parts are shaded? Well, I see in this first one, I have 1 part shaded. So I'm going to put 1 here. And then the second thing I'm going to do is I'm going to count how many parts have been partitioned. Number of parts. So I have 1, 2, 3. That means that they partition this into 1/3. Okay, it's not 1/3. It's 1/3. Okay, easy peasy, right? Not too bad. The next one, how many parts were shaded? That's number 1. Oh, I see 1 part is shaded. And then the number of parts. So now we're going to count up the number of parts. 1, 2, 3, 4. Ah, okay. So 4. 4, when we say 4 as a fraction, what do we say? We don't say 4. We say fourths, right? So fourths. Okay, and then we have this last one here. How many parts are shaded? Just 1, so I'm going to put a 1 here. And let's count up our parts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And it's not 1/7. What do you guys think it is? 7ths, right? Awesome, good job, guys. Let's go to the next slide. Okay, each rectangle represents 1 sheet of paper. So each one of these is going to be 1 piece of paper. And that means 1 whole piece of paper. Estimate to draw lines to show how you would cut the paper into fractional units as indicated below. There it is again, those fractional units. So this one wants us to do halves, okay? We're actually not shading this one because it doesn't say unit fractions. It doesn't say that. If it said unit fractions, and then we would want to shade, but it doesn't. So it says fractional units, which means we're not shading anything. We're just going to break it up into whatever fraction they want us to break it up into. So halves, that's easy, right? That means two, right? Two parts. So I'm going to put 2 fingers up. I know I'm going to draw how many. I'm going to put 1 finger down. How many lines am I going to draw on this piece of paper? Only 1. So I'm going to estimate by doing it right there. All right, the next one here, fourths. I'm going to change my color here. Fourths. Okay, so if I'm going to have to draw, I need to partition this up into fourths. I'm going to put 4 fingers up because I know that fourths also means 4. I'm going to put 1 finger down. That means how many lines am I going to draw on this piece of paper? 3. So I am going to eyeball it, and that looks pretty good. Not too bad. Okay, next one, eighths. Ooh, eighths. Now we're really getting higher, right? So 8 means 8. So I'm going to partition this piece of paper into 8 parts, equal parts. I'm going to put 1 finger down, which gives me 7 lines, okay? So I know I'm going to have to make these a little bit smaller. Four, 5, 6. Oops, that's good. 6. So now I have eighths. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oops, nope, I didn't do it right. 7. Okay. Another way that we can draw the lines for this box here is that you can relate this to multiplication. So we know that eighths also means 8. I know that 2 times 4 equals 8. So I'm going to use these numbers to help me partition. Okay, so just watch. I know it might be a little confusing, but I want you to watch this, okay? So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to draw halves. I'm going to draw 1 line. I'm going to partition this up into 2 halves. So I have 1 half and 2 halves. And then in each of these boxes, I'm going to partition it up into 4 pieces. That means I'm going to have 3 lines up here. 1, 2, 3, which gives me 4 partitioned pieces. And then 4 lines here. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that really helps you partition these holes even better if you can do it that way. If you can relate it to multiplication, so if you know that you're going to be drawing eighths, and then use your multiplication facts to help you partition these up. Okay, so that's just another trick to help us. All right, circles. Oh my goodness. These ones are even a little bit more difficult to partition up equally, okay? Because what we're going to want to do is we're going to say, okay, thirds. Okay, I'm going to do it this way. No, no, no. We are not partitioning a circle up like this because look at this is smaller. It's not equal. These are not equal parts, right? So we cannot do it that way. Okay, so let's pretend that this is a pizza pie. A pizza pie. Each circle represents 1 whole pie. Okay? Estimate, again, estimate, doesn't have to be perfect, to show how you would cut the pie into fractional units as indicated below. So we're not doing unit fractions anymore. That means we're not shadowing 1 part right now. We're doing fractional units. So we're just partitioning these holes up. So the first one we're going to do is halves. Remember, halves means 2, right? 2 parts. So that's easy. This one's easy, right? We can just do this, and we have 2 equal halves. The next one's a little bit trickier. Thirds. Like I said before, a lot of us want to do this, right? But these aren't equal parts. This part is smaller than this part right here. So we can't do that. This is what we need to do for thirds. Okay. Give me 1 second to put my pen back on. There we go. I want you to think thirds. We're going to partition it up just like the peace sign, right? So I'm going to draw 1 part here, and then I'm going to draw 1 part down here, just like the peace sign. Okay, so thirds, that's how you need to draw it. And then the parts look a little bit more equal, right? Actually, I would probably put this line down just a little bit. But remember, they said estimate. So that's how you have to partition thirds up. Now we have sixths. And so I'm going to do the sixth. I'm going to go back to what I did before when I related it to multiplication. Okay, so 6, I know that 2 times 3 equals 6. So I'm going to split this up into a half first. And then in those halves, I'm going to split them into 3 equal parts. So that means if I'm going to do 3 equal parts, I only have to do 2 lines in each. So 1, 2, 1, 2. Ta-da! Pretty cool, right? So now I have 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 equal parts for my fractional units. Awesome, right? Okay, so now it is time for you guys to do your homework for today. And this is going to be in your Eureka Math book. This first page it looks very similar, you guys, to what I just did with you, okay? So on the first page, you're going to do what we did at the beginning, where you are going to, hold on, I just need to put my hand tool on. There we go. You are going to draw. This is where we're doing the unit fractions. So you need to shade in 1 part of the fourth. So you're going to draw your lines for fourths, and then you'll shade one of those parts. 1/3, you're going to draw the line for thirds, and then shade one of those parts. The next part is exactly what I just did earlier, where now you're going to write what the unit fraction is. So here we have how many parts on the first one? We have 3 parts, right? And one of those parts is shaded. So it's 1/3. Make sure that you're not saying 1/3, right? We want to make sure we're using that unit fraction. Okay, and then after that, you will go ahead and do this page. You're going to do number 4, which is each rectangle represents 1 sheet of paper. Estimate to draw lines to show how you would cut the paper into fractional units as indicated. So we do not have to shade any of the parts here. We're just partitioning up, breaking up this piece of paper into each of these fractions. So halves, fourths, and eighths. Don't forget to use my little trick where you use your fingers, you put 1 finger down, and that's how many lines you need to do, okay? Also relate it to multiplication if you can, okay? That is very helpful to keep the parts as equal looking as possible. And then the next one is on number 5, each rectangle represents 1 sheet of paper. Estimate a draw lines to show how you would cut the paper into fractional units as indicated. So it's exactly like number 4. And that is it for today. You guys did an awesome job. The secret password for today is orange. Good luck with your work. If you need help, please come to the help group.